remember I used to wake up feeling anxious before the day even started. And I just thought, this is me, I'm just an anxious person, I get overwhelmed easily, it's just my temperament. But I never asked myself the question, am I nourishing my brain properly? Your brain is like an engine that needs constant fuel to run properly. So if you're skipping meals, eating very little, or just eating low nutrient foods, then your brain isn't getting what it needs. And this can result in irritability, low mood, low motivation, anxiety, you name it. So today I'm going to go through how I nourish my brain so that I feel calmer, more in control, and happier. So your brain needs energy, nutrients, and stable blood sugar. And without these three, you just don't feel like yourself. So the first thing I did was I stopped eating randomly and I started eating more balanced meals. And what I mean by balanced meals is that for breakfast, I'd have something that included high protein, some healthy fats, and some carbs and fiber. So a good example is eating an omelette with lots of veggies and seeds. Or sometimes I'd have overnight oats with lots of yogurt, nuts, seeds, and berries. These are good balanced meals. And balanced meals are important because they help you balance blood sugar levels. So if, let's say, I was waking up and just having toast with jam, which is just carbs, right, really, I'd have a big spike and a crash soon after, which would make me eat more and which would impact my mood and my energy levels. So by having this balanced meal, I get sustained energy throughout the day, and I'm able to go until lunchtime and I'd have another balanced meal. So basically, I didn't eat carbs alone, and this made a huge difference. And if you do snack, it's really important to balance your snacks as well. And I've listed 25 snack ideas in the comment section. Another thing I did was eat foods high in omega-3, mainly salmon, hemp seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. Omega-3s are critical for brain cell structure. So basically what this means is they help build and keep your brain cells strong and flexible. It's like good quality walls and wiring in a house. Also important for neurotransmitter function, which means they help your brain send messages to your body effectively. They also help to reduce inflammation. They help calm down irritation in the brain and the body, which means there's less internal stress, which can lead to a more stable mood. And research consistently shows that low levels of omega-3 can lead to anxiety, depression, and even bipolar disorders. So don't fear good fats. They're very, very good for you. They're incredibly important for your brain. I also started to adopt a more Mediterranean style of eating. Firstly, because I am Mediterranean, so it's nice to go back to my roots, but also because there's a lot of research that suggests that it helps with mood. In fact, a major study called the SMILES trial showed that people who ate more of a Mediterranean style diet had lower symptoms of depression when compared to other control groups. And other research suggests that it can lead to a 30 to 35% decrease in depressive symptoms. Now, if you don't really know what the Mediterranean diet includes, we're talking about healthy fats such as olive oil and oily fish, fiber, a diet full of plant-based foods, full of veggies, fruits, and legumes, foods high in antioxidants such as berries, cacao, and dark leafy greens, and basically focusing as much as possible on whole foods and reducing the processed foods as much as possible. And I really focused on my fiber intake because I really wanted to improve my gut health. So I was having way more veggies and legumes. And the reason being that 90% of our serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone, is produced in the gut. So there's a direct link there. If your gut health is poor, you're going to have more risk of anxiety, of depressive symptoms, of irritability, etc. And I also included fermented foods in my diet. So I included more plain yogurt, more kimchi, sauerkraut. I tried to have a forkful of something every day because these foods are amazing for improving your gut bacteria. Another thing I did, I had to remove gluten from my diet because it didn't agree with me, and it also helped with keeping Hashimoto's thyroiditis at bay. And I didn't realize that it was affecting me more than I thought. And then I looked into the research and found that people who have celiac or gluten intolerance and still eat gluten can have higher risk of low mood and anxiety. Now, this is not to say gluten causes depression. What I'm saying is for some people, removing gluten who have some kind of gluten sensitivity, it can really help. So it could be worth giving it a go. Another thing I did was blood work, and I do blood work quite frequently because I want to make sure that my nutrients are all in check, because a deficiency in a certain nutrient can really have a big impact on your mental health and on your energy levels, your motivation and everything. A few deficiencies to mention are vitamin B12. This has been linked to low mood, brain fog and fatigue. You'll mainly find B12 in meat, dairy and eggs. And if you're maybe on a plant-based diet, nutritional yeast can be quite good as well. Another one is magnesium. Low levels of magnesium have been linked to being less able to handle stress, poor sleep and anxiety. You can get magnesium from dark leafy greens, from cacao, from nuts, and from many good sources of whole foods. But one thing to keep in mind, right, is that our soils unfortunately aren't as rich in minerals anymore because of modern farming practices, and a lot of soil is lacking good levels of magnesium. Plus, stress actually depletes magnesium in the body, so a lot of us are actually deficient. I always recommend to my clients to have magnesium glycinate supplement. I love that form. It's very absorbable and it tends to help with sleep and feeling more calm. And vitamin B3 or niacin is a really interesting one. So there was a psychiatrist called Abraham Hoffer, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, that experimented with really high doses of niacin for depressive disorders. And some people responded really, really well and others didn't. But because there wasn't a big enough study done on it, they kind of ignored it altogether, and it's not used in mainstream practice. However, one takeaway is that nutrition really, really matters. If you want to learn more about certain nutrient deficiencies that can lead to low mood, I've actually made a separate video on this because there's a lot more to talk about, which you'll be able to find on the screen. Now, when you look at the blue zones, which are the healthiest and happiest and longest living populations in the world, you see that they don't follow rigid diets. They don't track calories or focus on eliminating macro groups or anything like that. They eat more whole foods, they eat a lot of fiber, they eat less meat, and they naturally move every single day. And they also keep processed foods to a minimum. But it's not just what they eat. They also have more of a purposeful life. They have a lot of connection. And that's such an important reminder that mental health isn't about a certain nutrient in isolation. It's about your entire lifestyle. If you're new to my channel, I'm Jill, and I help you feel better in your mind and body through nutrition and lifestyle hacks. So if this sounds interesting to you, please subscribe because I post every Thursday. So these changes had a huge impact on my mental health. Now, I know it might sound like a lot, right? And I didn't do all these things in one go. So what I would recommend is just make one change a week. Eat fish twice a week. The next week, add nuts and seeds to your breakfast. The next week, make half your dinner plate with vegetables. These all start to add up and they start to become more of a habit. And long term, you will definitely see massive changes, not only to your mental health, but also your physical health. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like because it will help other people find it. And I'll see you in my next video next Thursday.